The advancement of technology over the last couple of decades has brought along an immense amount of benefits, but at the same time, it has also opened up doors and opportunities for despicable activities. One of the many platforms that is frequently used to carry out such activities is Discord. According to his family and peers, 19-year-old Tyler Chase Compton was a seemingly ordinary teenager on the surface. Not much is known about the specifics of his upbringing, but he lived a normal/unextraordinary life in Massachusetts. In contrast to this, Tyler's actions on Discord were a stark deviation to any typical adolescent behavior. Like many at this age, Tyler liked to play video games and talk to people online in his free time, except the things he talked about were highly illegal and unethical. Discord has sophisticated AI algorithms in place to monitor content that is being shared on its platform. It's far from perfect, but nevertheless, it plays a significant positive role. One day in late 2021, these automated systems flagged suspicious activity coming from Tyler Compton's account. This then led to a human individual to review Tyler's engagements, and they were disgusted to say the least. In his private messages, it was discovered that Tyler was talking about and sending explicit material involving minors. This included both photos and videos. Discord's trust and safety team dug deeper to confirm the illegality of the flagged content, and after confirming that this was illegal material being shared, they reported it to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, aka the NCMEC. Then, the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office was informed about Tyler Compton's actions, who obtained a search warrant for Tyler's residency in December of 2021. Additionally, this discovery about Tyler led to information on quote-unquote underground marketplaces, where minors are engaging in the sale of their own explicit material. They seized numerous electronic devices belonging to Tyler, including 2 computers, 4 smartphones, random disks, and a bunch of external hard drives. Officials also found several torn pieces of paper with email addresses and passwords scrawled onto them. These devices were sent off to forensic officials who extracted the digital evidence. And in this process, they found a massive collection of illegal pornography. On September 14th, 2022, deputies publicly stated that the explicit content Tyler had displayed individuals aged 2 to 10 years old. At this point, it was also realized that Tyler had intentions of distributing this content himself in order to make money. Or rather, he was already distributing the content, but he intended on growing this in the near future. With the overwhelming evidence gathered during the investigation, law enforcement officials arrested Tyler Compton. He was charged with multiple counts of possession and distribution of child pornography. After his arrest, Tyler was brought before a judge for an initial court appearance. During this appearance, the formal charges were read and he was informed of his rights. The court also addressed bail considerations. Given the severity of the charges and the risk of further illegal activity, it was being considered whether Tyler should even receive bail. But it was decided that he would be kept in Escambia County Jail with a $50,000 bail. Ultimately, Tyler was found guilty, but I couldn't find exact details on what his sentence was, just that it was quote-unquote lengthy. This next entry takes us over to a small town in Iowa with a population of under 10,000, named Perry. In this town lived a 17-year-old named Dylan Butler, who was also born and raised there. His father, Jack, served as the director of the city's airport and had previously been the public works director for many years. His mother, Erin, owned a small business and was an active member of the city development board. Both parents were well known and respected in the community. Despite the family's solid standing in the community, Dylan's childhood faced several challenges. From an early age, he was subjected to relentless bullying. Classmates noted that Butler was often targeted because of his quiet demeanor and interests, which differed from most of his peers. This bullying began in elementary school and continued throughout the remainder of his schooling, profoundly impacting his mental and emotional well-being. As a student at Perry High School, Dylan continued to experience harassment, which has now intensified greatly compared to his earlier years. His classmates shared that other students would often physically attack and verbally abuse him. Unfortunately, this bullying also extended to his younger sister, which just made Dylan feel all the more powerless. But with many victims of bullying, there comes a point where that sense of powerlessness forks off into anger. Dylan often took to different social media platforms, including Discord and Reddit, to share his dark and violent interests. These interests were not exactly shared by his classmates, which just indirectly encouraged Dylan to remain quiet and introverted. Dylan was not simply interested in violence, but instead fascinated by it. Online, Dylan would frequent communities that spoke about and sometimes even encouraged serial killers and mass shootings. There were several students at Perry High School who were aware of Dylan's online posts. However, they mostly just chalked it up to Dylan being an edgy teenager. Although there is no public record of him receiving formal mental health treatment, it is clear that he was struggling with severe emotional distress. His online activities and communications suggest that he was dealing with feelings of anger, depression, and hopelessness. To further highlight his inner turmoil, officials later discovered that Dylan seemed to have been battling with his own identity. He frequently visited communities such as the trans and femboy subreddits, sharing that the only reason he didn't transition yet is because he, quote, doesn't want to be ugly. On Discord, Dylan was known by his handle, Took Too Much. One of the communities that he spent the most time in was the School Massacres discussion server, and as you can probably tell from the server name, this group of people discussed violent firearm-related content. In November 2023, the Discord server was reported to the FBI by a concerned user. The FBI reached out to gather more information, but no substantial action was taken. Fast forward to January 4th, 2024, Dylan's struggles culminated in a tragic event. That day, Perry High School was bustling with activity as students returned from their winter break. The day began like any other school day, with students and staff arriving early to prepare for the first day of the new semester. Breakfast was being served in the cafeteria and students were hanging out amongst each other. A nervous Dylan was also mixed up in this crowd of students. Despite his recent troubling behavior and ominous Discord posts, his actions did not initially raise immediate red flags. According to reports, Dylan entered the school carrying a duffel bag. Inside this bag was a pump-action shotgun as well as a small-caliber handgun. Dylan had planned to take the lives of not only his bullies, but innocent bystanders as well. In the time leading up to the event, Dylan was active on Discord, communicating with others in the SMD chat room. Here, a slew of anxious messages revealed a premeditated scheme. At approximately 7 a.m., Butler sent a message saying, "I'm at the school, it's about to go down, nervous as f***, but I have to do this." This message was followed by another one shortly after, indicating that he was assembling his weapons in the bathroom. "I'm in the bathroom getting ready. An N-word is in here. I need him to leave so I can assemble my guns." At approximately 7:37 a.m., Dylan emerged from the bathroom fully armed and ready to carry out his plan. He headed towards the cafeteria where students were grouping up. The first victim was an 11-year-old boy. His name was Amir Jolliffe. He was in the cafeteria when Dylan opened fire. Amir was struck by multiple gunshots and died almost instantly. As the shots rang out, chaos erupted as students and teachers realized what was happening. Dylan continued his attack, looking for anyone who was out in the open. One witness used the word pandemonium to describe the school at the time. Students scrambled to find cover or escape the building. The school's principal, Dan Marburger, acted swiftly, trying to protect students. He confronted Dylan and attempted to de-escalate the situation, but was shot multiple times. Despite his critical injuries, Marburger's intervention bought a small window of time, which allowed several students to escape or hide. The school's panic button was pressed immediately, alerting local law enforcement to the situation. Within 7 minutes, police officers from Perry and surrounding areas arrived at the scene. Officers conducted a systematic sweep of the building, securing areas and evacuating students and staff. As the police moved through the school, they encountered Dylan, who had retreated to a hallway. In a final act, Dylan turned his weapon on himself, ending his life. His body was found near the weapons he had used, along with an IED, which was later rendered safe by bomb disposal experts. And just in case you were wondering why an 11-year-old was in the same school as a 17-year-old like Dylan, apparently this school campus connected not only Perry High School, but a middle school as well. During the incident, Dylan continued to post messages on Discord, updating the chat room members about his actions. One of his last messages read, "It's happening, I'm doing it. I can hear the sirens already. I won't be taken alive." In the immediate aftermath, emergency medical teams treated the injured and transported them to local hospitals. 7 people were injured, including 4 students and 3 staff members. Principal Marburger was among the most critically injured and was taken to Mercy One Hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery. Interviews with students, teachers, and staff members revealed the extent of Dylan's isolation and the bullying he had endured. Despite these revelations, many questions remained unanswered, particularly regarding how Dylan had obtained the weapons used in the attack. Young Amir was the only death that day besides Dylan himself. Dylan's parents released a statement expressing their sorrow and confusion over their son's actions. They emphasized that they had no prior knowledge of his plans and were struggling to come to terms with the horrific events. Our final entry for today is about a man named Arnold Castillo. He was once a developer known for his work on Roblox and became infamous for his criminal activities involving the grooming and exploitation of a minor. Arnold, also known by his aliases Jacob Shedletsky and Dr. Rofatnik, began his journey in the online gaming world at a young age. He was deeply involved in the Roblox community and developed several games which gained a large following. One of his most notable creations was a game on Roblox called Sonic Eclipse Online. This Sonic the Hedgehog-inspired game attracted a large audience, particularly young players, which inadvertently provided Castillo with access to a vulnerable demographic. If you are not aware, Roblox allows users to create and share games, and it has become extremely popular among children and teenagers. As Arnold created more and more games, which were played by thousands if not millions of users, his prominence in the community grew, and with it his influence over younger players. This influence was not limited to his in-game activities, but extended to various social media and communication platforms where he interacted with his audience. As I just shared, Arnold used the alias Jacob Shedletsky. This last name is very important here as it highlights an angle of deception that Arnold intentionally pursued. A former creative director at Roblox was actually a man sharing the same last name, John Shedletsky. Sharing the same last name suggested that Arnold shared a familial connection to John, and therefore had an air of authoritativeness or credibility within the Roblox community. Arnold began his despicable actions by identifying vulnerable individuals within the gaming community, often young girls who were enthusiastic about gaming and game development. He initiated contact through in-game messaging systems, gradually moving them to more private platforms like Discord and Instagram. One of his primary strategies was to offer professional guidance and mentorship. By presenting himself as someone with industry connections and knowledge, he gained the trust of his victims. He often promised them opportunities in game development, which created a false image of a potential career that was hard to resist for young and naive developers. Additionally, Arnold used financial incentives to further entice his victims. He sent his community members gifts through online retailers and money through platforms like Cash App and PayPal. These gifts ranged from small tokens of appreciation, such as purchasing their artwork, to expensive equipment like drawing tablets and high-end computers. These gestures were designed to make the victims feel valued and indebted to him, further isolating them from their support systems. Arnold gradually introduced explicit conversations into his interactions with fans. The comments seemingly started out innocently, but quickly escalated over time. Eventually, his victims were desensitized to the content and viewed Arnold's inappropriate advancements as a normal occurrence. Fast forward to January 2022, Arnold made contact with a 15-year-old girl from Indiana through Roblox. Arnold questioned her about her interests and discovered that she had aspirations of becoming a game developer. After learning this, Arnold offered his own professional advice and complimented the work that she had done in the past. As Arnold continued to build rapport, he moved their conversations to Discord and Instagram in February. Here, Arnold sent the girl money through Cash App so that she could pursue some of her art projects. He even sent her several drawing tablets valued at well over a couple $1,000s. Throughout the month of March, the girl showed Arnold the project she was working on with the equipment he sent her. Arnold praised the girl and said that she had a very rare talent that shouldn't be wasted. Once he had established that he was a kind and generous man within the mind of the 15-year-old girl, Arnold began isolating her. He started by saying things like how he cared about her more than her IRL friends and family. When the girl said that her family loved her, Arnold would apply pressure by saying that they didn't care to the same extent as him. They weren't the ones spending thousands of dollars on her so that she could pursue her dreams. Therefore, they didn't love her as much as him. By April, Arnold had completely won over the girl and convinced her that they were in a romantic relationship. The girl truly believed every single word that came out of Arnold's mouth. However, there was one major issue standing between them. Arnold told her that her parents would not understand and instead act as an obstacle when it comes to meeting up and being happy. That's when he proposed the idea of transporting her from Indiana to Paterson, New Jersey, which is where Arnold lived. He arranged for an Uber to pick her up. He paid the driver an upfront $500 with the promise of an extra $500 after they delivered the girl. When the girl's family realized she was missing, they immediately reported her disappearance to local law enforcement. The initial investigation focused on tracking her last known activities and communications. Investigators collected data from her social media accounts, communication platforms, and the online retailers from which she received gifts. This data revealed a pattern of communication with Arnold. Law enforcement agencies collaborated with Uber to trace the trip that Arnold had arranged. Uber provided crucial information about the journey, including the payment details and the route taken by the driver. This helped narrow down the girl's location to Paterson, New Jersey. Before the raid, law enforcement conducted surveillance on Arnold's residence to confirm the girl's presence and ensure her safety. After confirming that the girl was there, they set their plan into motion. On May 11th, 2022, FBI agents along with local law enforcement officers executed a raid on Arnold's home. They found the girl and rescued her from her confinement. Arnold was arrested on the spot. During the arrest, several unopened condoms were found in his possession, indicating his continued intent to abuse the girl. She was provided with both medical and psychological support immediately afterward. Ultimately, Arnold was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison on August 30th, 2023. Following his release, he's ordered to serve 20 years of probation and pay $10,000 in restitution to the victim.